My buddy only had 6 weeks to train and we emerged 12th out of nearly 300 pairs in our age group in the recent Hyrox Doubles men's race in Singapore. In today's video, I will share how I recommended and assisted my buddy in his training and reveal some of the race strategies that worked for us. And at the very end, I will share with you the secret sauce to racing doubles well. Now let me share some stories first. In June, I participated in both doubles men's pro in Nice, France at the start of the month and a solo race in Singapore at the end of the month. Now comparing both, I thoroughly enjoy racing together with a partner because we get to motivate one another during the darkest time. So after Singapore's June's race, I started looking for a buddy or partner who has a common goal of racing hard, perhaps to even chase the elusive podium spot. Then he caught the attention of my friend and he actually said he was interested but could only get back to me at the several weeks later because he might be racing a marathon race overseas. So I waited and waited, but there was no response. Therefore, I decided to just sign up the solo race once again. And just 2 hours later, he reached out to me and said he was ready to race in a doubles men's race because he did manage to qualify for his marathon overseas. Then that's why I ended up racing in 2 events. Until 2 weeks before the race in August, I was still contemplating whether should I drop the solos race. But you know what? I was crazy enough to say let's just go and do both the races. And it's like, achieving a great achievement, unlocking great success. Now I know my body can actually handle much more. But of course, I paid a lot of attention to my recovery after my men's opens race and mentally psyched myself for the race the next day. Before I start, let me talk to you a little bit about my buddy. He has always been a runner and consistently trains for marathon, and he does not visit the gym often or knows how to use the ergs. Thus, during our first training session together, we reviewed the 8 Hyrox stations or exercises and techniques to be as efficient as possible. In a long event such as Hyrox, it is crucial to identify areas where we can use the least amount of energy to move the most amount of weight to sail through the stations effectively. During our training, I identified my buddy's strengths and weaknesses, so he knows what he needs to work on during his personal training time. My buddy has more powerful legs as compared to his upper body, and he also has great cardiovascular capacity because of his running background. Thus, my feedback for him was to work extra hard during the next 6 weeks to build up his back strength, his upper body strength, so that he could use it for the ski, sled pulls, rolls, farmer's carry, and also focus on the technical station like wobbles. I also suggest he work on compromise run at least once a week, and so we came together multiple times to work on full simulations to see how we can leverage on one another's strength and cover each other's weaknesses. It was also during the simulation that we discussed how often we should switch for each station. And my buddy is a runner, therefore he is more experienced in running training. Therefore, he shared with me multiple training programs which I could use so that we could run faster together. I'm very grateful our expertise complements one another and we overcame the only pitfall, and that was the time we had left to train. I really want to salute and kudos to my buddy for working so hard and being patient on the run, ensuring I keep up during the entire race. Now I'll be zooming into the race itself. My buddy is a better runner, therefore all I had to do was not to be a burden and stay behind him throughout the run. We kept to under 4:15 per kilometers, and depending on how busy the track was, some laps were slower, but it was perfectly fine. We ran into the ski station and I jumped on the ski erg first. I set the damper that we were both used to training at. Since I was more proficient, I covered 300 meters and handed over to my buddy and he covered 200 meters. We did the same switch for the balance 500 meters and we constantly communicate if we were approaching by the right or the left to take over the ski erg, saving precious seconds. And of course, during the last 100 meters on the ski, we agreed that we need to slow down slightly so that we can catch our breath and ready to attack on the next run. Leading into the sled, we discussed who was going to start the sled push station first. Now during training, we agreed that we will play by ear and determine who shall jump on the station on the day itself, depending on how fatigued we feel. So for sleds, we split 6 meters each so we could catch our breath and shake out the lactic acid. It worked well, and since my buddy has strong legs, we did fairly well on the sled push, emerging top 10%. Surprisingly, our runs were faster after sled push than ski. I guess our strategy worked well. Next, moving into sled pull, the station was perhaps our greatest fear. It's technical and requires a great amount of strength. We switch every length. Perhaps if we were to race again, I think it would be better to switch every 6 meters, just like the sled push, so we can shake out the lactate. However, for individuals who are stronger or weigh heavier, I reckon fewer switches is required and it will help you save precious time. Moving into burpees, we switch every 6 reps just like training and went relatively fast, covering a great distance. However, we were blocked in our path on both the left and right, so we had to switch lanes midway, upsetting another pair as I was sort of obstructing them. I repeatedly apologized to them afterwards and all was good. Now thinking back, it could have been better that we switched less often or only switched upon fatigue so we could save time. Now we are more than midway into the rowers. Honestly, at this point in time, I felt like I hit a wall. I was supposed to take 600 meters and my buddy 400 meters, but he noticed that I was slowing down significantly, thus he decided that we do an extra switch. But the problem with rowers is that the switchover takes more time, so it isn't ideal. Best was to only switch twice if you really want to go fast. Farmer's carry was pretty straightforward. We switched every 50 meters and attempted to jog or run with the kettlebells. We communicated well and always informed each other when we were dropping the kettlebell, except for the first time or the first switch over when my buddy just literally dropped the kettlebell and it rolled away. So I had to recover and get the kettlebells back, wasting a few seconds, but all was good except that I ranted at him before moving on. In the heat of the moment, I wasn't able to suppress my emotions, but of course I felt so bad after. So take note everybody, remember to also train your temper and attitude. Don't be like me, it's nasty. Moving into the last 2 stations, this is where adrenaline takes over. We were running seconds faster than the previous runs and ran into the lunges station feeling real strong. Now I helped my buddy place a sandbag on his back and we were ready to blaze through the 100 meters. However, it was also one of the most crowded stations with many pairs in the same zone at the same time. We had to overtake and squeeze through the crowd, and we attempted to push as much as 20 reps before switching over, but communicated well whenever we need to switch or we felt that it was too much or there was too much lactate building up. Everything went well and we were in the top 30s for our lunge station, and usually after lunges my legs will feel extra heavy, but not today. Now we tried to run as fast as possible and my buddy had the intention to chase the other pair who was also running towards the wall ball station. But gosh, the pace was really insane and at a certain point I told him I can't keep up anymore. Then we went into the wall ball station. Blessing in disguise, we were ushered to a holding pen as there was not enough volunteers at the point in time. So we spent about 20 seconds waiting for a vacant spot. Then after that, knowing that I am more proficient, I sprinted into the wall ball station first and I tossed a straight 45 reps. Just before I was about to drop the ball or during my last rep, I told my buddy that he was going to take over. So this is a way to prevent wasting time. We took turns and handed over whenever we felt tired or if we started to get no reps or slow down. Comparing our simulations and the actual race itself, I think we did fairly well, emerging in the top 10% once again. So it goes like 99, 100. My buddy was already standing by and we were sprinting to the finish line. Together we leaped across the line with happiness and joy, and we looked up to the board and were pleasantly surprised with our results. So that's all about our race. We parted ways after the race because I was literally unalive. The fatigue was real. And I returned home to my recovery routine, massages, stretches, wearing compression tights, taking protein and have a good hearty meal. As promised, since you stayed all the way to the end, The secret sauce to racing well is to find a buddy who is willing to work as hard as you and genuinely enjoy this kind of long, grueling pain at high intensity effort. Find somebody who can run as fast or even faster than you, and all you have to do is to keep pace and focus on your partner's back and keep running, never giving up. Lastly, communicate. Don't be afraid to depend on your buddies more. On day to day, you may feel different. Speak, scream, or shout if necessary to switch as often and keep the pace up. You got to know one another's strength and weakness and really depend on one another. Leave your ego aside and together you can achieve a really, really fast time. Now that's all I have to share today. If you enjoy my content, please help me like, share, and subscribe so like-minded athletes can benefit and race stronger. Also, do follow my socials as I'm currently opening limited slots for personal training. So do leave me a PM on my Instagram if you're looking to better your game. With that, cheers, bye-bye, till next time.